Welcome everyone to the Model Frontier. We're here today with Pack 22 of Agora Models Build the RMS Titanic. If you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a second of any of my great content. We're back here on the Titanic, and after last issue, I gotta tell you, this issue is a breath of fresh air. We don't do anything big on this. It's all a lot of detailed deck work. So, it's a nice change of pace from the frustration we had last issue. I'm glad to be doing it. I'm looking forward to it. It's hard to believe we're already almost done with this thing. We just got a little bit left to do, and then the Titanic is done. Who would have thought? We've come so far, and we're now going to see we're getting ready to see the end of this. Before we can begin, though, if you remember last time, your Titanic trivia question, we did a true-false about the Californian. So true or false, the Californian was sunk by a U-boat in 1917. And this was a false. It was actually sunk by a U-boat in 1918, not 1917.
God almighty.
So here we are with stage 123, and we're obviously doing some work on our hull here. We just got a couple more cross supports we're gonna do some stuff with. Before we do that, though, your first Titanic trivia question is going to be, what was the name of the captain of the Carpathia when she was torpedoed in World War I? Was it A, Arthur Rostron, B, Stanley Lord, C, William Proteron, or D, Charles Lightoller? Naturally, of course, we will answer that question at the end of stage 124. So even though we got the hull out, the first thing we have to do is we have to build another one of these pieces. We're making a cross support. So just like before, we're going to put this in. That's going to slip in like that. I'm going to actually set this down here. And then we're going to secure that in place with a pair of AM screws. There we go. Now with that nice and tight, we're going to set this off to the side. And we are going to add these cross bracers. And where they're going to go, if it's not obvious, is right on this end, these ends here. Because obviously, these are for the stern section. They get held in with 2 AM screws apiece. Just like that. And then obviously we're going to take this piece, we're going to put it on here again with this section facing to the back, and we're going to secure that down with another 4 AM screws. There we go. Now with that done, that's actually all there is to do in this stage. Keep in mind, since this hull is so huge, what I'm going to do is there are extra things we're going to be doing on the hull. So I would totally recommend you do everything for the hull in one go, and then you can do and then we can move that off to the side and just focus on what needs to be focused on. That's how I'm going to do it. But again, for purposes of editing, I'm going to stick to editing it in the order in which it's done. But I'm working smarter, not harder. Do either way that works for you. That's really the best advice I can give on that.
God Almighty.
So here we are, folks, with stage 124, and as you can see, we have the poop deck. Final bit of decking for the back of the ship. Also the final bit of decking wood decking we actually get to put on. So we've done this quite a few times. We're quite dab hands at it, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to put in my wood glue. With our wood glue on, of course, we got our KA decking. We're going to take the backing off, and then we're going to carefully, ever so carefully, put this piece on right where it's going to go. Just like that. We're going to let that dry for a little while, so before we do anything else to that. But since this is the end of stage 124, we've got a trivia question to answer. So what was the name of the captain of the Carpathia when she was torpedoed in World War I? If you remember, the choices are, it was A, Arthur Rostron, B, Stanley Lord, C, William Proteron, or D, Charles Lightoller? And the answer, if you couldn't figure it out, was C, William Proteron. Arthur Rostron, if you remember, he was the captain during the sinking of the Titanic. Stanley Lord was the writer of A Night to Remember, which is a great book and one I highly recommend any fan of Titanic read. And Charles Lightoller was, of course, the second officer and the most senior surviving officer of the Titanic disaster. So the only answer it could have been was William Proteron.
God Almighty.
So here we are with stage 125, and you may notice I don't really have anything out. I'll explain why in just a minute. Before I do, though, your next Titanic trivia question for this next two stages: why were there only 5 Smiths on the passenger list when there were in fact 6 on board? There is a very interesting reason for this, and you'll find the answer out at the end of our next stage. So why am I not showing any pieces to this? Well, that's because, in case you can see from your instructions, this is mainly building the cranes. Well, and putting on a piece that, since I'm using the upgrade kit from China 3D for the the docking bridge, we don't need this. And this is all basically putting together the first of the aft cranes. Now I'm going to do something a little different in this part. I know the last time I did show you how to put together the China 3D cranes and stuff. I'm actually not going to do that because I want to hold off and make sure that I don't break anything, because we're still going to be messing around with this, moving stuff around. However, what I am going to do is I am going to take the bases I'm going to use, which are the China 3D printed bases, and I'm actually going to put them in. So this would normally be a very long, drawn out stage, but because we're doing it this way, it's actually going to be rather short. So we're going to take our base and we're going to bring over the stern section, and the base, if we're looking at the stern, we're going to put it on this side here. And the doors, let me use one they give as kind of an example here. Okay, so we're going to put one of the doors, so the spot where the ladder goes, so it's going to go kind of in like this. I'm actually going to turn it a little more like that so that the doors are actually going outwards. So I'm going to put that in like that. Let me make sure that I don't got... Yeah. So we're going to put that in like that. So for this, we're just going to put some... I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Hang on a second. My glue's a little stopped up. I'm just going to put glue around there. And then we're going to put it into place. So it's like, so it goes right where I want it to go. So I'm going to put it in place like that. Now normally they would tell you to hold that with AP screws. And then you'd put the base of the docking bridge in right here. But like I said, I have the part that I need for that, so I don't actually need that. So with that done, and because I'm not putting the crane on, I'm going to wait till much later on to put the final finishing touches on that I can. So with that, that is it for stage 125.
God Almighty.
So now we're moving right along. We're doing stage 126, and it's more of the same thing. Again, it's building another crane and putting it on the stern section. So just like last stage, I'm going to just be putting the base on, and as I said, the arm will go on a little later towards the end so that there's not a lot sticking out to be broken off. Just like that. And then there is also a piece, this piece here, which goes on your hull the hull section towards the front where we have the one exposed screw. But since I'm already done with my hull from this stage, from this pack, I'm not actually going to do that right now. But I will be putting that in a little while, probably next pack when we do the section covering the engine room. So before we end this rather short section, remember your Titanic trivia question. Why were there only 5 Smiths on the passenger list when there were 6 on board? And the reason for that is one of them was actually the captain. So since he wasn't a passenger, he would not be on the passenger list. He'd be on the crew list, if anything.
God Almighty.
So here we are, we're going to start stage 127. We're doing a lot of detail work and a lot of joining together of a few things we've already done. So it's going to be a lot to do. Before we begin though, your Titanic trivia question. What steamship company did the New York and St. Paul belong to? Now, this is a little bit of an off the wall question, but you know, it is Titanic related, so hopefully you can find the answer. If not, you'll get the answer at the end of stage 128. So the first thing we're going to do is we're setting the stern section here aside. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here is this bulkhead, which I've painted the stripe on it about 5 millimeters wide. I've also done my little upgrades on it, but the first thing we're going to need to do is put a few of these on it, just like we've done before. There's a keyhole pattern. Obviously, they can only go in one way, like that, and then they each will be secured down with AP screws, which I'm going to do off camera, get them in, and then I'll meet you back here when all 3 of them are set. So here we are, all 3 of these pieces are in. Now we need to bring back over our stern section, and we're going to put this on. We're going to follow the shape as it's shown here. Fit this into place, and then we're going to secure that down with 3 more AP screws. Just like that. Now we're going to take this section and we're going to put it to the side because we have some stuff we need to do to prepare the well deck for this. We got some stuff we're going to add in. We're going to focus in right in this section here because we got some pieces from the KA set that we need to add to this. And what I'm going to do right now is flip it around so that we got it facing the same direction as in the KA instructions. So just like this. And now the first piece is going to go right here is T18. So as always, we're going to take our piece, spread some glue on it, and it's going to go right here with the T section towards the top. There we go, just like that. Now next in this part we have T7 and put it into place right here. And the T is going to be towards the bottom. If we're looking at it this way, it's going to be towards the bottom here. Just like that. Now continuing on, our next piece here is going to be T22. Put it in place with the T again facing towards the back, towards the bottom here. Just like that. Which means our final piece is S5. That's off a completely different set of photo etch. It's going to go in here with the T section going towards the left, if you're looking at it this way. Just like that. Now it's important to note that you want to get these things so that the edges are flush to this. You don't want them overlapping, so don't be afraid to have them overlap on the wood decking a little, because you need this to be clear for something that's coming up for when we go to put this piece on. You don't want to have anything blocking those when we go to attach this. But we're not doing that yet because we have some more details we need to add to this section. So our first detail that we're going to add here is this piece here, which is W9, and it's going to go right here like that, just kind of following the pattern. So as we've always done, we're going to spread glue on the bottom of our piece. And then we're going to put it into position here, just like that. Now next, we got this piece, which is going to be V19. It kind of looks like one of the vent's one of the workings we've had before, only without the bell on top. But once again, just spread the glue on the bottom. And then we're going to put it in here, following the pattern again, as always. It's kind of being a pain to stick down there, but maybe I'll put a little more glue on it here, or just hold it in place for a little bit. Just like that. Now the piece that goes here is a similar piece. It is V18. And as always, we're just going to spread the glue on the bottom. And then we're going to follow the pattern and put it into position. Just like that. And now the final piece we got to put in here, a little bit of detail that goes right here, is going to be piece W11. Looks very similar to W9. And of course, as always, we just spread our glue on the bottom, and then we're going to put it into position, again following the pattern on the plate. Just like that. With those done, we're ready to continue on now with the main part of the build, now that we got those little details in place. And to do that, we're going to need to grab our poop deck, and we're going to fit it into position right here, just like that. Carefully, we're going to flip it over. Like here, and then we're going to hold this piece down with 4 more AP screws. Just like that, these 2 decks, the poop deck and the well deck, are on. Now there are supposed to be some stairs that go on this too, but I'm gonna wait to put those on till later. I got a set from the Midwest Model Shop that I plan to be using to put on there. But like I said, I'm gonna do that at a later time because it just makes more sense to wait. So we're gonna focus now. We're gonna continue on and focus in on this section of the poop deck where we've got some ventilators that we need to put in. Again, I'm using the K ones. We'll start with this big one first. There's 2 small ones and 1 big one. Obviously the holes will match, the circles here will match the part that we're using. As always, we're just going to spread some glue on the bottom of the piece here, and then we're going to stick it into position. Just like that. Now we're going to take one of our smaller vents here. We'll put some glue on the bottom of that. And we'll fit it to one of the smaller holes. Just like that. And then of course we'll take our 3rd vent and put it where it's gonna go. Try to show it to you a little bit better here, but it's just gonna go into the one spot that we have left open. Just like that. And we're not done with the stern here yet. We've still got 2 more pieces to add on here. For these, we're gonna focus in on these 2 sections here. We got a couple of these things here that have to go on. As you can see, I'm using the China 3D parts, not the parts that come with it. The doorway parts, these hatches, face towards the front. So you want to put the hatches on to the front of this. Like that. So all we're going to do is spread glue all around the contact points. And then we're going to stick them down. There's no particular order that they go in, so you can put one on, you can put them on whichever side you wish. Like that. And then as you can see, I'm going to put glue on all the contact points there and stick the other one down. Just like that. Now with all that done, that is it for this stage. Got a lot of stuff done on this stage, but that is it for this stage of the build. So here we are at the start of stage 128, and we're going to be focusing in on this section of our stern. Now, again, this section would normally involve us building another big crane, but as I've always done, I'm just going to put the bottom on. Now, this crane, though, is different. First of all, you got to paint the stripe on it, again, about 5 millimeters. But the second thing you'll notice is that this one has a shape to it. So it can only go on one side here. And this is going to be the one for this side. It's going to sit in just like that. Now this is important that we get this right, because when we put the main deck in here, it's going to flush right up to this crane. So we want to make sure we get this. You got to make sure these are right. Otherwise you're going to have a bad time later. But just like we've done with the other crane bases, we're going to put our glue on the bottom of the crane base here. And then we're just going to press it down till it sticks. Just like that. And again, I'm going to wait to put the crane arms on because I don't want anything to get broken. So for that, for now, we're going to go from here, and we're going to continue on as the instructions show with a little bit more of the hull, which you may have done before we got to this point. So now at the end of stage 128, we've got, after all that detail work we've been doing, we just got a couple more of these to put in. They're going to go onto these ones right back here, right above this engine room deck head. And actually, that deck head actually kind of holds things up. And they're going to be held in place with, of course, 2 AM screws each. Just like that. Now that's all there is to do in this stage. That's all there is to do in this pack. Before we end, your last Titanic trivia question, if you remember. What steamship company did the New York and St. Paul belong to? And if you couldn't figure out the answer to that, they belonged to the American line. That's the line that those two ships belong to. So that's it for the Titanic today. Again, we didn't do anything major, but we did get the back deck all set up just like we had the front deck. We put some details in place. It's coming along. I believe we only got 2 issues left before we're finally finished with this. 2 more packs, and this is all said and done. I know myself personally, I'm not looking forward to pack 24, I'll be honest, because I know what that's going to entail, and I'm not even sure how I'm going to make it palatable for you guys. But we'll try. We'll figure it out. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Before we go, your Titanic trivia question for next time. What had the Colliers in second class just purchased in Idaho that resulted in their Titanic trip? Was it A, a potato farm, B, a general store, C, a fruit farm, or was it D, a car dealership? You'll find out the answer to that question next time on the Model Frontier.